I'm Aarti, and this is my very first travel sketchbook. It is an A5 Sea White of Brighton sketchbook with 140 GSM paper and 22 pages. I bought this from Ink and Bear when she was closing down her shop. She has screen printed this bear on the front cover, and I really love it because it's a nice textured screen print. This is a great way to decorate your sketchbook if you have a plain cover like this. Inside, it's nice white cartridge paper, and I've popped the stickers that came with the sketchbook right here, which says screen printed by Ink and Bear. Unfortunately, she has closed shop, but you could do this yourself at any time. Now, the reason this is my first travel sketchbook is that I haven't been on a trip by myself, in a very long time. And I went up to Kendal in the Lake District to meet April of Monkey Mintaka. I took the train up from Euston, and the plan was to go sketching with her and another friend of ours, Mandy, but also to attend a workshop by Emma Carlisle. Now, I do have some of the work made in that workshop, which I will show you at the appropriate point in the sketchbook, but I will also show you my summer travel palette and of course the work that I made on the trip and after. Through the sketchbook, I will show you exactly where I did the work after the trip and what I made while I was on the trip with April and Mandy. The cover page, of course, I did afterwards, and I created this while I was sitting around waiting for people to show up at my open studios in June. It's done with Tombow pens and a little bit of pencil over the top. On the next page, this drawing I did on the first morning I was there with April. We were both sitting at her dining table and sketching, and I did this little piece, which was basically me at Euston Station looking at the travel boards and realizing why I don't like to travel alone, because I have to carry all my own bags myself. Anyway, so after the fact, I came home and then I did this little map to show exactly where I went from London down in the south of England all the way up to Kendal, which is just outside the Lake District in kind of the middle north of England. I took the train, so I did that little thing and it's labeled at the train station. Before I went, I did this page where I decided the colors that I wanted to take with me, and I've shown you my travel box before. This is the Vashi waterproof box, and it's got all these little pockets and things to put your pens and pencils in, and I keep all my stuff here in this big box, and this sketchbook very neatly fits in there. So it's a really nice thing to take with you, and it's waterproof and has a handle, so it's really handy when you're traveling. Now let's have a look at the colors I took with me. This is also my summer travel palette that I've been using through spring and summer. There are a bunch of pencils, some Neo colors, bunch of markers, which are these Caran Deco brush markers, Winsor & Newton watercolor markers, and of course the ubiquitous Tombow pens. I find them really handy because they're water soluble and I can layer them really nicely as well. I think you've seen that in some of my previous videos. So we've got Luminance Pencil 719, green, 739, another green, Derwent Obsidian Green, Luminance Indanthrone Blue 649, Derwent Chromaflow Deep Sea, favorite pencil, Luminance Castle Earth 046, Luminance 407 Sepia, Derwent Chromaflow Natural Brown, Posca 15 Red, and Luminance 842 Raw Umber 10%, which is one of my favorite pencils of all time. I've also got Luminance Noir, Caran d'Ache Aqua, the aqua soluble one in white, a white woody, which I actually bought with April when she was here in London, Liquitex white, and a Posca white as well. In the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s, I have Carmine, Apricot, Golden Yellow, Sahara Yellow, White, Ochre, Moss Green, and Sepia. In the Caran Deco brush markers, Olive Black, Lilac, Almond, Cocoa, a white to mix with things, and the curry color is such a delicious color. Winsor & Newton, Hooker's Green, Cadmium Red, Rose, Indigo, Sepia, Yellow Ochre, Cadmium Yellow, and Payne's Grey. And then, of course, you've seen some of these colors before from my Tombows, N15 and 65, 879, which is a lovely brown, N57, kind of grey-green, 528, dark blue, 249, a green, 098, which is kind of like a golden ochre, 177, green, 228, another green, 312, which is actually this, which is aqua, which is a little bit darker than the color of the lid. 992, which is a nice brown. 850, which is peachy pink. 761 and 772, two different shades of pink. I have 3 shades here and I really feel that I could have just taken one because you can layer them and kind of get that color. 925, which is a really bright orange. Just wanted a pop of color. And a 026, which is a golden shade, which is slightly lighter than the 098. Plus I had an eraser and a sharpener with me, and that was it. This is my spring-summer palette that I've been taking everywhere, but honestly, I could have taken less on my trip because it ended up being really heavy, and I emptied out half the things and didn't carry them with me. On the first evening I got there in the afternoon around 4 or 5 o'clock. April picked me up from the station. Then we went to dinner at Bowness, walked around Lake Windermere and had dinner, and that was really lovely, and it was a perfect end to the evening of traveling up on the train. The next morning, after doing this little drawing at the dining table, we met up with Mandy and we drove up to Ullswater to do Emma Carlisle's workshop at another place. Now, at this point, I'm going to show you the work that we made there. It was such a lovely workshop. It was so nice to meet Emma. She did sign our books for us as well, copies of her illustrated books. So this was the first exercise that we did there. This is something that you have seen me do before, which is put tape down and then paint over it and create abstract vignettes. However, she taught us a new thing, which is to create them as landscapes. So once you've done the vignette with abstract colors and things, you can add little details like this house or the sheep and the trees and the fence and turn them into abstract landscapes. And the reason she did this is that this is the kind of work that she had displayed at another place in their living areas, and this was the artwork on the walls. I did save the tape that we used in this exercise because it was just so lovely. Look at that. The second exercise that we did was spreading paint around, spreading blobs of paint around, and then creating a little vignette out of that as well. So this was a sample piece I did. And then here are some of the other pieces. This one, you just basically blobbing paint on and spreading it around with a spatula. And then I put some trees on there and turned it into a landscape. You can kind of do it in whatever direction. I felt like this was the right way to go. Here's another one. It felt like a wave to me, so I put some kayakers and some rolling waves. And then I've got some of these, which I haven't really done anything with yet, but they could be in any direction. I feel like this might be the way to go for this one, and maybe this way for this one. And I really love this just as it is, so I might just leave it like this. But yeah, it was a great workshop, and April, Mandy and I all attended that. And then after that, we had a bit of time to walk around the area and draw. So that's what we did. Now, as I said, I brought too many things, so I took a limited number of colors along with me on that day so that my backpack wasn't too heavy. And after our workshop, we sat around Ullswater in another place's grounds and drew. So we drew some boats and the landscape, that's Ullswater itself, the lake. I did this with Tombows and some pencil, and you can see some of the details here where I've layered over the top and tried to get a little bit more depth. I didn't use any water in this picture except on the lake to spread out the ink. On the next page, again, a lovely tree that was there. It's not a realistic representation, but it was what I felt the tree was like, these little blobs of leaves, and I really loved the shape of it. This page was done after I came back because I wanted to remember exactly where we went. So I drew a little map. We went from Kendal via Shap on the Penrith route, I think this is correct, down through Pooley Bridge to another place. And then after we were finished at another place, we drove down to Pooley Bridge to have a few snacks and do some more sketching, and that'll come up later in this. Like I said, to Ullswater for Emma Carlisle's workshop. We continued to sketch that day, and I really liked some of the nature details up there. The flowers, the grasses, the general feel of the place was what I was trying to capture rather than realistic things. And I really loved these where it was like a seed head with a few little petals coming out. It ended up being a really lovely day and didn't rain, which was surprising until right at the end. At this point, I was sketching April and Mandy as they were sketching something else. And of course, I couldn't resist drawing them as dogs. Can I ever? So yeah, this is my friend sitting sketching Ullswater at another place. Then we drew the boats at the jetty. I haven't really drawn boats before, so it was a learning curve. But I think I do want to draw some more and might go down somewhere and find some boats to draw. This was later in the day, almost at the end of the day at Pooley Bridge. We swapped art supplies. So I used April's art supplies, Mandy used mine, and then April used Mandy's. So we swapped like that and then drew what we could see while sitting at the Pooley Bridge Inn. We're sitting at the Pooley Bridge Inn here and looking out at the Crown Inn. I feel like I could have used a bit more time to get more detail. I suppose I could do some more detail now, but I kind of like to leave it as it is when I made it, just because it's a memory. And this whole book is actually full of memories of this trip. After that, Mandy dropped us home, and then the next day, I only had half a day because my train was in the afternoon. So I chose a few colours to take with us, and April drove us from Kendal through Ambleside alongside Lake Windermere up to Rydal Lake. And then at Rydal Lake, she parked at the car park and we walked up to Rydal Cave, which is apparently where The Witcher was filmed. If you look at, I think I'll put the season and the episode number down in the description of this video. And then we sketched all the way from the cave and went along this side, sketched down by the lake, and then it started raining a little bit. So then we went back to Ambleside and we went to a cafe. So here's the picture that I made in the cave. I will insert a picture here of what April made, so you can see how different our styles are, but it was really fun to be drawing with somebody out in nature. It's not something I get to do very often. So I've actually labeled it Witcher Cave, Rydal Caves. The stepping stones and everything. It's a really lovely place. And it had such atmosphere in there. We had gotten there really early, so there was nobody else. But by the time we were halfway through our sketching, people had started to trickle in. There was also a duck there before we actually came into the cave. And I think we were disturbing his peace a little bit. But it was really nice to have one little creature in there other than us. I didn't go very far into the cave, but maybe next time I should. Anyway, it was great fun. And it started out really light and bright, but it ended up being dark and moody, even though it was a nice day. Along that walk, I also drew some more details, just observing nature around me and the shapes and the feel of the trees and things, just in plain colored pencil. And then we stopped above Rydal Lake to draw the lake itself. I definitely had a moody palette this day. It was much brighter, but this is how I felt like drawing it, and put a little house in there as well, which is not something I usually do. Bunch of sheep. That way is Grasmere Lake. We didn't walk all that way, but we went down like this and across the lake there. And then we drew one of the islands in the lake, and I was just thinking of different layouts. If I was to paint this as a painting, that would really work out well. Of course, once it started raining, we decided to go to Ambleside, and by the time we got to Ambleside, it had stopped raining, which was nice. We went to the Apple Pie Cafe and had some apple pie and something to eat, and then wandered around Ambleside just looking at things. I picked up some t-shirts for my husband, and then by the end of that, it was time to go home because I had to go to the station and head home. Now, like I said, I didn't use every material that I brought with me. I have listed a few here. I think there were a few that I've missed out. But I could have just brought these with me and had a great time instead of bringing this whole chunk of stuff. I really didn't need so many things on a 2-day holiday. Now, the rest of this sketchbook is all drawings that I made based on memories of my trip. This half of the sketchbook was mostly done while I was there. Well, actually, right till here was done while I was actually out and about in the Lake District, with the exception of the maps, which I had to look at my phone later and figure out exactly where we went. I hope I've got it right. Monkey Mintaka April, just let me know if I have. And then this half of the sketchbook, I actually drew a bunch of pencil sketches on the train ride back because I wanted to draw while my memory was fresh, and I would finish them later because I feel slightly sick on trains when I'm moving and drawing at the same time. So I can manage pencil sketches, but I couldn't manage to color them in. So I did the basics pencil sketches for the pages from here on, and then spent the next couple of weeks filling them in and just reliving the memories and the amazing time that I had with April and Martin and Mandy and Emma Carlisle. So the Apple Pie Cafe was from a photograph, but I didn't want to put color in it. I just really liked the tonal feel of this piece. These were dogs that I saw in one of the galleries, and they were bronze sculptures. I really wish I'd picked one up, but maybe I will next time. This is a memory, not from a photograph. Martin and April taught me how to play Beat Saber for the very first time. It's like a virtual reality game. I sucked at it. This is me panicking. And this is Martin setting it up. It was great fun. April was amazing at it, but I was a little bit stressed. By the end of it, I think I managed to get the hang of it, but I'm going to have to play it multiple times in order to figure out how to do this thing. But yeah, it was a great time anyway. These were stones stacked up at Rydal Lake. I took a photograph of this and then worked from that. And this is me standing in Rydal Lake with my wellies on because it was way too cold to take my shoes off, though April did. And it was such a lovely memory because that was such a lovely day spent with April, drawing, just chilling and relaxing. I think that was one of my favorite mornings. And then I drew that with, obviously, dog head. Can't help it. This was a plant that I saw on the walk up to Rydal Lake. I really liked the tonality of it and the shape of it, and I wanted to record that for later. These were landscapes that I saw on the train as I was passing. They're just quick little vignettes, figuring out the shapes and the blocks of color, and trying to figure out a layout that worked because I'm not used to drawing landscapes in this format, but that's the shape of the window that I was sitting next to. So it was really interesting to see how I could translate that really quickly, like 2-3 seconds into a painting. I did them in pencil and then I colored over with marker later on from memory. I tried to make little characters of the people I met. So there's April with her glasses, Mandy, who was such a sweet person, myself, Emma. I tried to put her large glasses in, and she had longer hair, so I put in longer ears. Martin, who was such a sweet person, and then Dhruv and Sam, who I was really looking forward to getting back to because, like I said, I haven't traveled on my own without them for a really, really long time. And I miss them. I miss them so much. These ones I had put in the pencil drawings and just wanted to work out the shapes of the trees that I saw at another place. There were so many beautiful trees there. And I love trees. In fact, I probably do a whole separate video on my love of trees and some of the beautiful books I have on trees, actually. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do that. So I just used the Yellow Ochre Winsor & Newton Pro Marker watercolor here and used a water brush to spread around the color in order to get the tonality. And I really love how this piece turned out. It almost feels like an underpainting for something, but I don't want to put any more details over the top. You can already see the pencil details that are coming through on this page. These are more trees that I saw at another place, drawn from memory and a combination of photographs. So I looked at the photograph, and as I do with reference pictures, I looked at it for a little while and put it away, and then drew from my impression of that photograph from my own brain. Again, I really like the textures that I used here and the feel of depth that I have managed to get. And in this one, I really like the tonality again of using monochrome colors. I was just trying to get the shape of the tree rather than the actual tree itself. On this final page, I have just done a little drawing of the greenhouse at another place. That was something that I really would like to explore a bit more. I felt like the white lines of the greenhouse could really stand out against a beautiful landscape, but I would do it a bit more abstract than I have done here. Under this, I listed the places that we went: Kendal, Bowness, Ambleside, Pooley Bridge, and the lakes that we visited: Windermere, Rydal, and Ullswater, and then the places that we went: Rydal Cave and the Apple Pie Cafe. At the end of a trip, I always like to see what I would like to do the next time. Improvements or places to go and things. And the first is less supplies and a lighter kit. I did not have a small backpack, so I took my husband's ginormous JanSport backpack, which really overbalanced me when I was trying to climb up hills and like rough terrain, and even when walking over the stepping stones at the Rydal Cave. So what I've done is I've got myself a little backpack from Moshulu. It is teeny tiny. This is literally the size of it. It fits my kit almost exactly. So it is literally the size of my kit. So the next time that I go somewhere, I will have a better backpack in which I can put my less supplies and lighter kit. I also need some darker greens, because I feel like I could have had one more level of depth in my work, for which I did use browns, but I feel like if there was a darker green, that would have gone better. I also needed warmer clothing because I'm always cold, whatever the weather. Even now, it's 23 degrees in London, I'm still using a blanket at night. April does not feel cold at all, so I was freezing the entire time. Also, things to do next time. I want to continue that Rydal Lake walk up to Grasmere and see Grasmere. I want to allocate more time to draw. And also at Ullswater, I would like to walk around the lake like April had suggested, which is like a 5 or 6 mile walk, which was too long for that day, but next time. And also, don't have a full week of stuff after. After this, I actually had events during the week. I had a market on the weekend after. It was a lot of work. I should have just planned, because I have chronic illness, I should have planned to have a week off and just rest and relax after this. So the cumulative stuff kind of piled up. On the last page of this, I haven't done anything on the end paper, but I might just fill it with some color and some abstract memories of this trip. But yeah, so that's my first travel sketchbook. I hopefully will do some more. I have never had an exclusively travel sketchbook. I've shown you some of my sketches when I've been traveling before, but I've never done them in a dedicated sketchbook like this. And I've certainly not finished a whole sketchbook just with travel sketches. So this was my May 2024 trip to Kendal in the Lake District. Now, April and I have decided to do a little art collab afterwards. So this will be probably the next video or the video after that that comes out. So keep an eye open for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!